5 states are represented in the finals of the South Pacific Classic, Australia's annual international tournament, from which the 2 winners will represent Australia in the World Cup. The leading qualifier in the men's division is John Sullivan from Victoria, and the leading woman is Jeanette Baker, Australia's current world champion. My co-commentator is former South Pacific Classic winner and former Australian champion, also organiser of this tournament, Steve Mackey. Well, Steve, John Sullivan has against him Tom Kury from Queensland and Silvano Prez from South Australia. What's their form like?
Well, they're all 3 aggressive bowlers. I think Kury's probably the most aggressive. I think he'll beat Prez and go on to play Sullivan, but I think Sullivan's got the wood on him.
Sullivan's form has been tremendous in this tournament, hasn't it?
Well, he set a tournament record today. He averaged 223, which was just fantastic. He had 4 big games, over 250, and I think he's the one to beat.
And in the women's section, it's Jeanette Baker, now of New South Wales, formerly Victoria and South Australia.
Yes.
And it's Doreen Dockery from Victoria and Del Rey from Western Australia. It was amazing that only 5 pins separated these 3.
Yes, it was a great finish. Del and Doreen both finished with 220 games, and Jeanette struck on the bonus ball to keep that top spot.
Is Jeanette's form good enough to retain her title?
Well, last weekend she averaged 206 in the New South Wales Open. I think this week she's averaged about 197. It's pretty good. I think that's good enough.
Fine. Well, we wish all of the bowlers the very best of luck. And first of all, it's the men's final. And the second and third qualifiers, Tom Kury of Queensland, Silvano Prez of South Australia, will meet in the first game. And this is Queensland's Tom Kury. Finished second, and there you see some of his record. Winner this year of the Australian Classic, the Newcastle Cup, second in the Gladstone Cup, and of course he is a member of the Australian team to this year's World Championships. Tom Kury from Queensland. And now Silvano Prez of South Australia, the third qualifier. And there you see some of the tournaments that he has won. He also has represented Australia, I think, Steve, hasn't he? He's not in the team this year.
No, he's not in the
team. To the World Championship.
But some of his averages there have been pretty good. 215 at Noarlunga in particular, and his highest game this year was 296. He only collected 6 pins on the last ball after 11 strikes in a row. He's been bowling very well in Adelaide, a 196 average in the Rockway tournament qualifying, and that's a good performance.
Well, just before they start their 2 games match, the bowlers are allowed 1 practice ball on each lane, and that's not a bad sort of a practice ball from Silvano Prez.
Yes, a good one.
Tom Kury of Queensland, who finished with a total pinfall over the 15 games of 3,377 with an average of 210. Silvano Prez, and a strike. In fact, Silvano Prez has started with 2 strikes, so it's a very good start. Kury had a spare and a strike, so he's 20 in the first frame, and his not quite this time for Kury. 9 pins down in the third frame. He's 20 in the first frame with a spare and a strike. Silvano Prez with 2 strikes.
And Tom Kury, a winner of the South Pacific Classic in 1978 on ABC TV, and he beat Eric Thompson that year, so he's a big-time bowler and a very gritty competitor. Beautiful shot.
We might explain that this is a 2 games match between these 2, and the total pinfall will decide the winner, and the winner of this match goes in against John Sullivan of Victoria for this year's title.
And look at that concentration on Prez's face. Oh, but that's a tough break there.
Yes, he's left a nasty split there. The 4, 6 and 7 pins, not an easy one.
And you notice Prez picking up a different ball that time. All the bowlers these days carry quite a range of equipment with them, and they swap and change at a moment's notice. That ball there sliding a lot further, and under the hot TV lights, the lanes are drying out a little bit. Well, Prez with that open frame now is 55 in the third frame, and Kury the chance to take a small lead.
Yes, and that open frame hasn't helped Silvano Prez. He started very well with the 2 strikes, then an open third frame.
And how's that one look? Very good.
So Kury is now 60 in the third frame, 60 in the third with a strike in the fourth, as against 55 for Silvano Prez in the third frame. So 5 pins in it at the moment.
And Silvano very carefully tightening his finger holes there. And watch this one come up.
Yes.
And we'll have another look at this one. Ball coming up from a long way out. Look at this. See it finish.
Now Tom Kury, a 5 pins lead at the moment. 60 against 55 in the third frame, and both have strikes in the fourth.
And he got out of that one pretty good. Yes.
Oh, yes.
And watch the difference between the 2 strikes. This one's coming up very late now. Watch it spray the pins around off the side wall, and it takes the 4 and the 5 pins as the last 2 to go. We're back now with Prez.
Don't suppose it matters how they fall, Steve, as long as they all go down. That's what counts.
That's right. Oh, dear. Oh. That's twice he's done that now.
Yeah, 4, 6, 7 and 10 this time. Very nasty one again.
And Silvano, well known as the man who likes to talk to himself while he's bowling. Very intense. Look at that face. If the face got strikes, he'd have an average of 300, but he's in a bit of trouble early in this match. Only 81 now in the 5th frame, and Tom Kury firing on all cylinders could have a 40-odd pin lead here, John.
Yes, those 2 open frames are going to be very damaging in this first game for Silvano Prez.
Well, we got out of that one quickly.
And another one for Tom Kury. That's 3 in a row. In fact, in 6 frames, he has had 4 strikes.
And that was a beautiful shot.
Silvano Prez. Really needing something now. Yes.
This will be a nice one to see again.
Big crowd here today to see the finals of the 1983 South Pacific Classic, Australia's annual international tournament, and now it's Tom Kury.
And notice Kury's wrist master there. And that's a 4-bagger. Geez, a long way ahead. 39 pins the difference in the 5th frame. And look at this one come up. And takes the 4, 5 and the 7. That's the 5 pin just out of sight.
So he's 120 in the 5th frame with strikes in the 6th and 7th. Silvano Prez. Yes, that's 2 in a row for him. Well, he's 81 in the 5th frame with strikes in the 6th and 7th.
And look at Prez just sitting down, trying to take stock of himself after those 2 big splits. He likes to sit down quietly, usually closes his eyes and tries to think of good shots. And look at Kury's gadget on his hand here. Look at that concentration. But it looks pretty good. Yes, it's another one. 5 strikes in a row for Tom Kury of Queensland. He's 150 now in the 6th frame. Look at this one. Takes the 10-pin last.
That one came in from a long way out, didn't it, on the lane? He really curled that ball.
Yes. Here we go now with Prez.
There's 2 in a row. Can he make it 3? No.
No, that's a wide shot. And now in the 6th frame, Prez 42 pins behind. Remember, this is a 2-game match, so he's still got a little bit of time to catch up. But 42 pins, Tom Kury on a 5-bagger. he's in a bit of trouble.
This spare is not as easy as it might appear either, with that 8-pin there directly behind the 2. It's a sleeper there at the back.
And let's see how he covers it. I think he's got it.
Yes, yes, well done.
But that one, a very easily missed spare, and quite often missed. Well, Kury on 5 strikes in a row, and he can provide us with a big game here. In fact, during the tournament, Tom had a 278 game, which had 11 strikes in a row and an 8 spare.
Well, he's got 5 in a row now. He's 150 in the 6th frame with strikes in the 7th and 8th.
And a very straight approach. Gets the ball straight out down there. He's in trouble. He's carried it.
Done it again.
6 strikes in a row, and Tom very happy with that one, and I'm not surprised. 52 pins the difference, and watch this. He turned away from it too, but that 4 pin's just about to go, and it made it. And Tom very happy. So he should be. 6 strikes in a row now, and Prez in a bit of strife. Look at that beautiful score there. 180 in the 7th. That's a good one.
Yes. So that's 148 in the 8th for Silvano Prez with a strike in the 9th. But he's a long way behind.
Kury now taking his time. He's normally a bit of a racer up there. He likes to get up quickly, but he's on such a nice string of strikes here that he is taking his time. Let's see if it affects him adversely. Certainly looking the goods at this stage.
Well, can he make it 7 in a row?
No, not with that one.
Well, that ends his string of 6 strikes, but he's 207 in the 8th frame. A strike in the 9th. He's now bowling in the 10th frame with 7 pins down with that first ball. If he can convert here, he has 1 bonus ball in the 10th frame, but he needs these 3 pins, the 1, 2 and 4, for that extra ball.
And he's covered it.
Yes.
So 227 now in the 9th frame.
And he's got a possible 247 game going here. Tom Kury. And Silvano strikes again. He's 148 in the 8th frame with strikes in the 9th and 10th.
And look at that concentration.
And
even though he's a long way behind John, he's still keeping his head down and just thinking of another strike.
And the last ball of this first game from Kury, and he's done it again. That's a 247. That's a very good game.
Certainly is. It's one of the biggest games we've had in a South Pacific final, and here's his bonus ball there. It's another strike, and that ball carrying well. He changed balls just before the telecast. It's a different ball to the one he's been bowling all day. This one's a little bit harder, and it slides a little further. And Prez now, another strike. What a great finish.
Yeah, he's got a possible 208. A possible 208 if he can strike again.
And that was a nice shot. Well, we've seen some fantastic strikes in this game. Kury had 8 strikes out of 11 shots at the headpin, and Prez 3, 4, 5. He's had 8 already, but a couple of open frames with those splits have given him the difference of those 40 pins. And there's another one.
Yes, all the way. So it's 247 against 208. And that's a lead of some 39 pins after the first game to Kury. And remember, it's total pinfall over 2 games that will decide which of these will meet John Sullivan for the South Pacific title. So Silvano Prez.
And there's Prez's finish at 208, and a gutsy effort, that one. 9 strikes out of 12 shots, but he had those 2 disastrous splits. That's a good start.
Certainly is.
That's a hell of a way to pick up 39 pins, and a rather ominous strike there. Tom Kury will have to be on his guard against Prez, who is really in a world of his own at the present time. And look at that 5-pin go.
Well, I'd say that Silvano Prez will have to better his high game for this tournament of 232 if he's to overhaul Tom Kury. Silvano Prez averaged 209 in the last 15 games to qualify for this final.
And Kury, oh, he went a little bit high that time, a little bit eager to get rid of the ball, and he dragged it across the front of his body. Quite a simple thing to do when you're under pressure. And some of the other place getters in this tournament, John, I'll just run through them quickly. Ron Powell of Victoria finished 4th. Joe Velo of Wollongong was 5th. Max Donovan of Wollongong was 6th. They're producing some good bowlers down south. Steve Lovell was next, followed by Jeff Boness, also of Wollongong. So some good finishes by the Wollongong bowlers. But now we're back with Kury, and he spared the first frame against Prez, who is actually on 5 strikes in a row at the present time. He finished with 4, and he's opened up with another one.
Perhaps we should explain that a spare means all pins down with 2 balls in the frame. And for that, the bowler receives 10 plus whatever he scores with the next ball. For a strike, the bowler scores 10 plus whatever he knocks down with the next 2 balls.
Boy, that was a freezing cold 10-pin, and a tough break then for Prez. He would have dearly loved a double there. It would have picked him up 10 pins. But he's got to go for the spare now, and it's not an easy one. It's a cross lane, and he's moved way over to the left of the approach. And covered it.
So he's 20 in the first frame, and a possible 20 also for Kury, but he needs a strike here to score the 20 in the first frame.
He's got to start catching up some pins, and he's not going to do it without his own strikes. Kury just has to stay in front now. He's had a nice straight approach there, but he's pulled the ball again, and fortunate to break it up.
So Kury is 19 in the first frame with the spare and then the 9 pins. 19 in the first frame against 20 for Prez with a strike and a spare. Difference now 38 pins.
And Kury going for a relatively easy 3-pin now. It's almost near the 1 pin, so he doesn't have to adjust too much on the approach. And watch that face when Tom lets the ball go. There's plenty of power and verve in that shot, John.
Certainly.
They both look quite calm, and they have been on television before. Prez just practicing his swing there, and there's Kury's 2 spares, the first 2 frames. Prez has got to start a string of strikes. Nice and relaxed. Good swing. Looks pretty good. Yes. Well, it could have been 3 strikes in a row. Bit of a tough break, that 10-pin. That was a good shot. But here we go. And that ball's really turning beautifully at the end.
So Prez is now 40 in the second frame with a spare in the third. Kury is a possible 39.
And Kury's
the second frame, but he needs a strike here.
Kury's pulled the last 2 shots. Let's see how this one is. Oh, he's adjusted the other way that time. Now, even though Prez is a long way behind, Kury's putting himself under pressure by a couple of wayward shots. And this one here is a nasty one. The 1, 2, the 4 and the 10 pins. He's going to have to hit to the left of the 1 pin and slide it across the lane to the 10. Very difficult spare. And usually to have an attempt for that, you'd move towards the left and swing the ball across lane. Let's see how Tom approaches it. I think he's got to go for it. But he didn't have a good try for it. Only 44 now in the third frame, and yes. Prez will close that gap considerably.
He certainly will. He's 40 in the second. Kury 44 in the third, and Prez 40 in the second frame with a strike in the third.
Well, it's all up to Prez now. Prez can really just about close the gap, surprisingly, with another strike. No, that's not good.
He's left the 310, which is quite convertible, of course.
Yes, the way to get this one, of course, put the ball in between the 2 pins, the 3 and the 10, and Prez pulling out one of the harder variety of bowling balls so that it will, hopefully for him, slide down and go in between the 2, and he's got it. Yes, and he made it.
Well done.
And well showing some emotion there too when he did it.
Well, that means he's 60 in the third frame, as against 44 for Kury. So he's picked up some 16 pins, and the margin now is down to 23. Kury 23 pins in front over the 2 games.
Prez still talking to himself there while Kury's up on the approach on lane 30. That was a better shot by Tom. Yes, that was a good result. He'll be happy with that after three relatively bad shots, resulting in 2 spares and an open frame. That was much better. Tom's been around the game for a long time, and he's been regarded as one of the most nuggety competitors the sport's ever had. Never says die. He's had some big strings of games this week. He averaged 238 in the preview tournament here at Bankstown. He was the second top qualifier in last weekend's New South Wales Open, and at the moment he's 23 pins ahead of Silvano Prez of Adelaide.
And Tom Kury had a high game of 278 in this tournament, which is excellent bowling, and an average of 210 over the last 15 qualifying games.
Yeah, so only a pin the difference in their averages, and not much difference now in this game. And there's another strike for Silvano Prez, 80 now in the 4th frame, and look at him just sitting down there. Just concentrate. Why didn't I get one before? Well, you've got another chance still in a minute. And Kury's up against it, John.
He certainly is. Important for him to start striking again now.
4 frames without a strike.
That lead has
and that
been
one's
whittled
not
away.
going to be one.
Again, he's left just 1 pin standing, the 2 pin. Should have no problems in converting the frame, but if Silvano Prez can continue to strike, then Kury could be in trouble.
And here's Tom Kury's style now. A little bit of a bent elbow, but he does that quite consistently. And there we go again with a spare. So Kury now 22 pins ahead, and Silvano Prez, the aggressor at this particular point of time. The loser of this match will receive a cheque for $1,350, and the winner will go on to play John Sullivan. 22 pins the difference. We're halfway through the second game.
And the scores in the second game, in the 4th frame, 80 to Prez, 63 to Kury. On another strike from Prez. He's really putting the pressure on now.
Yes, he certainly is, and look at that man. Look at that man strike, and look at him sit down there and just think about what he's going to do next. I can tell you his only thoughts are of good shots, of strikes, taking deep breaths. And Kury now. If looks could kill, Tom would certainly strike right now. But that's not a good shot, but it's a strike all the same.
Yes, he's crossed over and gone in on what they call the Brooklyn side, but it's a good result.
Yes, he wouldn't have aimed for that shot, but all the same, there they go into the pit, and that will be a little bit of a confidence boost for him. It's his first strike since the 11th frame of the last game, so he went 5 frames without strikes. There's Prez's beautiful straight arm swing, and look at him, that's another one, and Prez riding that one all the way back to the playing area seats.
Well, he's now 110 in the 5th frame with strikes in the 6th and 7th, as against 83 for Kury with a strike in the 6th.
And Prez has whittled Kury's 39-pin lead down in each frame, only 12 pins the difference now, and he's got a double out in front of him. Tom needs a strike to stay there, and he's got it. That's a better shot. Well, it looks like that Brooklyn strike of Tom's might have given him the little boost that he needed there. This one right back in the same place that he had his 247 in the first game. Good effort by Kury. He's not too flustered. He knows he can do it. Whatever Prez can do, he can do. They're both similar averages back home in their home states. Now look at Prez. Oh, beautiful shot. Gee, that was a good ball. And he's smiling widely there.
And why not? He's 140 now in the 6th frame with strikes in the 7th and 8th.
Well, I tell you, John, you and I have commentated a lot of bowling programs over the years, and this would be one of the most gripping matches I've been involved with. My hands are
Yes, it certainly
very clammy.
is. A 39-pin lead to Kury after the first game has been whittled away. He's still in front, but he needs strikes to stay there.
Oh, and he's got another one, but that was a lucky one.
Side. But they all count. The lead is now down to 12 pins. Kury 12 pins in front.
And there goes the 6 pin.
In this game, it's 140
to Prez, 113 to Kury in the 6th frame. Both have strikes in the 7th and 8th.
Prez on 4 strikes in a row, looking for 5. Oh, look at that.
So close. Just the 10-pin left standing. And a good round of applause for Silvano Prez after his 4 strikes in a row.
Yes, he's really putting on a great show here. He loves to let his emotions out by riding the ball, and that time he left the 10-pin.
Well, he's going to have a score of 189 in the 8th frame, which is considerably better than his 148 at the same stage in the first game.
Yes, if he can strike out, John, as you were saying, to win this tournament, or to win this match, he's going to have to beat his highest game of the tournament. And if he gets a turkey in the 10th frame, he will shoot 239. So he's doing just what you ordered.
And that would beat his previous high game of this tournament of 232. Now it's Kury on 113 in the 6th frame.
Good result there for Tom Kury. That one was a little bit wide and under pressure, not as many fingers on it as he would have liked. There's the score, 142 in the 7th for Kury, and still 12 pins the difference. And if Tom spares, he'll have a 12-pin lead going into the 10th frame. So this is a very important spare for him. He mustn't miss this one.
I don't think Tom would very often miss that one.
Well, stranger things have happened under pressure. It's a mental game as much as physical, 10-pin bowling, and sometimes you can get a mental block there. But we're now with Prez, who is trying to win this match. It's all before him now. He's first up in the 10th.
He has a lead of 27 pins in this game, Silvano Prez, so he's narrowed that gap of 39 down to 12. Oh, he went in a little high on that one, but that was a late fall too of the 10-pin.
Well, Prez, by not striking there, and he's not happy with himself, must hope now that Tom Kury doesn't get a strike or a spare, and it's a pretty tough way to win when you've got to rely on the other bloke to do something wrong.
So Silvano Prez 208 in the 9th frame and a spare in the 10th. So he has only one more ball.
And Tom Kury now, it's all up to him. All he can do is lose it. He's won it already. All he can do is lose this game, but that looks, well, it's not over yet. That's a tough little spare.
Well, he's 180 in the 9th frame.
So Prez now will be looking to get a strike and put Kury under a great deal of pressure now to convert those 2 pins. And that's a good shot for Prez.
Yes, he's got the strike.
228.
Yes, he finishes with a 228, which is only 4 pins short of his previous high game in the tournament.
And the position is that Kury must spare this. If he only gets one of these 2 pins, he will tie the game. He's got it.
He's got it. That's his spare, and that means he will have one more ball.
Yes, if Kury had chopped that spare then and only got one of them, it would have been a tied match at 436 apiece, and that would have necessitated a rather nail-biting 2-frame playoff. But Kury got the spare under pressure, and this is a very good match. Prez 208 and 228, Kury 247, and we're waiting for his bonus ball here. Out the window, but no problems. 197, and a fantastic finish.
So it's 444 over the 2 games to Kury, with a 197 in the second game, as against Silvano Prez 436 over the 2 games. So that's an 8-pins win to Tom Kury of Queensland, and that was his bonus ball. Left 3 pin standing, but no worries.